December 14th, and Christmas is coming whether we're ready or not. So how are you? It is so good to see you. And I'm sorry I started a little bit late today because I was late. I have this thing where I think time is going to stand still a little bit for me and let me kind of catch up. But guess what? It doesn't. So I just wanted to say I have been looking around sites because I've got another quilt to start, and that's going to be for my daughter Becky's wedding in March. So while looking around, I went to the Moda site and I found this cool project tracker. And I thought with all I've got going on right now, it might be nice to have one of these because you can write your ideas and certain notions you think about that later you could forget. So I put this on our site for our Groups IO, a free site you can join. But also if you would rather go to the Moda site and look for free patterns and handouts. So just thought I would tell you that sometimes it pays to try to stay organized. So I got in a couple orders today, this week. One was from, what is it called again? Marshall's Dry Goods. And so I needed a background for my Myrtle Beach Quilt Party quilt, and I wanted something a little different. So this is a white on cream background, and I thought that would be pretty good. So I got 3 yards of that, and I think it was $4.99 a yard, which is my price. I got a backing for the sparrow quilt that I have finished. I'm putting on the frame this week. And this was a pack. It is 3 yards of 108. In fact, it's 108 by 108. So I'll be able to get the sparrow quilt and then have plenty to have left over for other art quilts and wall hangings. So there is that. And I think this was right around $30, $31. So pretty good deal. I was looking for a dark green. This is the problem. Sometimes when you buy online, in a perfect world, we'd all buy all of our fabrics where we can see them and touch them. And that's getting harder and harder, sadly. But this, I wanted a dark green. This is a wee bit too dark. So I will save that for art quilts. And then to round up the order to get free shipping, I ordered a charcoal flower print backing, 108 inches. And I think I was able to get 1.5 yards, 2 yards of this. And that way, instead of shipping money just going out and you have nothing to show for it, I spent just a little more and got the backing. So that was my Marshall's Dry Goods order. Very happy with that. And can't beat the prices because prices are so high on everything right now. And when they stay this high, I have to either stop quilting so much or find better deals. And so I'm all about finding better deals. Sorry for straightening up. I was kind of running behind today and I've got so much to show you. So I hope you noticed. Oops, can't use this one. Okay. I was hoping to iron. I wanted to iron the cute little Christmas. I had a cute little Christmas iron on. I wanted to put on a shirt. The shirt I grabbed is not going to work. So let me show it to you. But so cute. And I tell you, these iron-ons are easy to use. So here, everything right now for me is Grinchy. So here is the cute little Grinch. So I'll have to find another shirt. And next week, I'll show it to you. But I just realized the shirt I picked out, I'll show you. I just grabbed it because it was in my sewing room. And unfortunately, it's got a placket down the front. Real hard to put a Christmas decoration right there when you have buttons. So I will grab another one of my shirts. But I do have something I'm going to make for Mark in a little bit. We'll wait closer to the end of the show for that. And then, oh, you know what? I forgot to bring down my agenda, but I think I remember it. Then I picked this up from the yard sale table at the retreat. And it's a Three Sisters. And I love Three Sisters fabric. It's by Moda also. So here is this. I thought would be good for my daughter's wedding in March. Her colors at the wedding are going to be blush in a light pink. And so when I saw this and they were selling it for only 20, which is a good discount, it was just somebody who bought it who realized, I don't think I'm going to use it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a good deal, and now I'm well on my way. So what I wanted to ask you all is, Andy loves mid-century modern, and Becky loves cottage. I'm thinking of and I thought this fabric was really, really, really pretty for cottage. I mean, just those beautiful roses and in fact, roses and peonies are going to, the big blousy rosebuds. So if you have any ideas for any a email, I'm going to write my email down. Our time to quilt, and that's at gmail.com. Let me put my glasses on, make sure I wrote it right. Yep. Okay. So, and I do want to apologize. My voice is a little off today. I've had a cold the past couple days and a little bit of a sore tummy. Yeah, pick an easy pattern. Yeah, I don't want to because I want this done before her wedding. That'll be one of my first children to ever get a quilt on time. So, but if you have an idea, please feel free. I can go and purchase the pattern. I'm not sure what to do with it. And so, you've been watching Jessima Tutorials. Oh, isn't she talented? And Samantha has such a way with describing it. And what I do when I have time to do clay, the polymer clay, I get my stuff out and I go through her YouTube files and pick out the one I want to make. And there I go. And I'm able to stop or back up and follow her. And it's very easy to follow her instructions. So I think I told y'all last week, I sent her a thank you. I was like, this 69-year-old woman in North Carolina is loving polymer clay because I bought my kids when they were still kids, teenagers. I bought them polymer clay 30 years ago, and I've had polymer clay since. But I couldn't seem to figure out how to make it work well. And it always, the colors were kind of off or the technique was not good. Like I learned a little thing from her. If you've been working a clay and you especially make up one of these canes, you can make canes very detailed, very carefully. But after you've worked on it and you've stretched it out, it tends to be a little warm and soft from working with your hands. So she puts hers in the freezer for a few minutes. and lets it firm back up. Then when you go to cut the cane, you get much more accurate cuts. So I'm so excited. I feel like she's opened the world, the polymer clay making world to me. But I wrote her and she wrote me back, and it was so much fun. And I love, love, love when I see someone doing a good job. I love telling them that. I noticed on Etsy, there was this young man in Turkey who does paintings, and he had a painting of figs that was so beautiful. So I wrote him and told him, and he wrote back too. So it's kind of nice because these people are putting themselves out there for us, and it's nice to acknowledge good work when we see it. So, all right, now, so if you come up with any ideas that you think would be good for a cottagey quilt, let me know. And I put my email up, and but I love Jessima tutorials. I think they're the best. She's the best for teaching you polymer clay. And she has a website, and she sells her stamps and different things. She's so prolific. She posts sometimes, every couple days she's got another post out. Very, very talented young woman. And her you can look and find the basics. How do you begin polymer clay? What kind of tools do you need? All of that. She will go through the whole basics. So, oh gosh, I have been busy. And let me see if you can see what's back here. And so, you know what is funny? I was telling Mark this morning when I was showering, I was thinking, I'm dreading the rush to Christmas. And for whatever reason, I'm just, and so I've made very little. I've got a lot of Grinch pillows to make, some ornaments to make, and a house to decorate. And I love a decorated house for Christmas, but I don't like doing it. And if I didn't do it, I'd be sad. So I have to do it anyway. Mark has done his stuff. The Christmas tree is in the sunroom. The blue rope lights are hung up. So he's doing his stuff. It's up to me now to finish. We went the other day and bought our Christmas tree. It took me not even 5 minutes to pick out my Christmas tree. That's the way I am when I go shop. I'm very decisive, and off I go. And it was the third or fourth Christmas tree I looked at, and I went, that's it. And it's beautiful. It's 8 feet tall, but it's narrow, so I can keep my furniture around it. And when I get it decorated, I'll definitely take a little video for you. So this week, all right, I got in my backing for my sparrow quilt, and I didn't work at all on my Irish homestead quilt. I hope to get back to that very soon. Now, let me see. I looked up, and Mary Mayhem, she's a wonderful lady from New Jersey, and I have been doing her mystery quilts for 20 years. And she has a New Year's Eve quilt coming out. Let me see. Mary Mayhem. And whoops, let me get this right. And she does a New Year's Day mystery. Let me get there to her. I want to give you the link for this. She started doing it when she realized that there are a good number of people who don't have family nearby for Christmas. And she thought, can I give them a mystery, something to do to enjoy during the holidays? Because, sometimes family members get all the attention, or people with family members, and we kind of forget about those who either don't have family or don't have family nearby. So now let me close this down. All right. I'm going to click this link for you. You put your ornaments on the tree. Yay, Marcia. Okay. Let me paste this. It better let me. Yes, there's paste. Okay. Paste. All right. So I've decided, because my company will be gone by the 27th or the 28th at the latest, and I'm going to have time. So I just wanted to let you know, because she's already posted the first clue. She does that right after Thanksgiving. Then she's going to post the second clue Christmas Day. And what I do is I just print them out till after Christmas, and then I jump on it. And her mystery quilts are a lot of fun, and I have plenty of stash to do it in. They're the perfect quilt pattern for stash. Just follow her directions, whether she says medium, light, dark, accent, whatever. She gives you great information you can follow. You know what? I need to pull out some of the mysteries. That's one thing. Let me write it down, because I forget. But I will pull out some of my previous mystery quilts and show you some. There's some I've probably given away, but I'll pull out what I have. And this will be next week, December 21st show. Okay. So I will have a little truck show of Merry Mayhem quilts. All right, because I used to be quilt tester for her. Well, there's a problem. The purpose of having a quilt tester is so that you can have somebody check your instructions to make sure they're accurate and complete. I don't do a lot of reading when I do my quilts. I kind of look at the pictures and figure it out. Once I get the basic sizes, I'm good. And so I finally realized, oh, poo, I'm not a good quilt tester. So I said, I hope you won't mind. I'm backing away from this. I love doing it, but I'm not a good help to you. So, okay. So now, you know what? Let me do something really quickly. I was worried about not having my agenda, because I kind of come to depend on it. And let me look it up over here. I can't believe I totally forgot to check the computer for it. Okay. So, Ukraine. We still want to send out our positive thoughts to Ukraine, and positive thoughts for peace in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on, and let's just not get into another war. So, but I talked to you about my daughter's wedding quilt. I told you about the Irish homestead. I did not work on it this time. I told you the first clue is up, the second clue Christmas Day for the Merry Mayhem mystery. I love mysteries. And if you want, we can even do a Jitsi chat on New Year's Day if you want to work on it. Or if you just want to come join us and work on something of your own. Because New Year's Day has a lot of football and stuff. So if you want, we can plan a Jitsi on New Year's Day. What do you think? So, but I gave you Merry Mayhem's address. Yes, we're going to try to have a very happy New Year. Oh, is this somebody new? No, it's our Bonnie. When Bonnie was a pattern tester, she would break down into two things. One step was just to read the directions and see if it made sense to you. Okay? And that is exactly, Bonnie was a good quilt tester. In fact, Bonnie did quilt testing for years. So that's wonderful. Oh, yes. Bonnie sent this picture of, if you're doing a block of the month or any kind of quilt that, like a sampler quilt, she said, I didn't put the picture up because I'm a little worried it might violate someone's whatever. But we have it on our site. It's wonderful. And what they did is they made took 4 blocks and made them into a big block. And they did 4 sections, and they had beautiful sashing and a big center cornerstone. And that's really nice, because sometimes it might be nice to group similar things together, just a different setting instead of all these blocks kind of randomly set out. So that was very, very, very good. Very, very good hint. Bonnie, oh my gosh, she finds so many good hints. All right, so I told you about the sparrow quilt. Okay, I know next I was supposed to work on the fall landscape with you, but I kind of want to go into what things I did this week, because I had so much fun. Okay, we will come back to the fall quilt. I brought my ink tints, and I'm going to show you about how to add ink tints. I've got my fabric medium, and I have paintbrushes. So we're set for that. All right. What did I do? Oh, there, my paintbrushes. So I'll put them right there with that. Okay. So I get so excited about this kind of stuff. Here, we'll start first with my little miniature Christmas house. And I got this all done. I got this all finished. And now what I want to do, you know what? I put everything here, and now I'm going to move it away, because I want to be able to use the close-up camera to show you some really wonderful things about this. Okay, so let me bring it down to size. And I followed the instructions. I'll show you the only thing that I added to it. Oh no, it's stuck. Mark tested it. That's Mark's beautiful hand. Now let me see. Webcam. Deactivate. There we go. See? I've learned a new trick. All right. Here is my Christmas miniature. And I want to tell you, I don't know if our Joe Sews is here, but this is the best miniature kit I've ever worked on. Oh my gosh. Now let me see. I might have to pick this up to get it close. But look at this. Look at this cute little sled that I built, putting together pieces of wood. Here are little books I made, a little gift. Here is a Christmas tree. But the only thing I really added to this was these icicles. Oh, hi, Laura. These icicles. Oh, my gosh. Dick Van Dyke is 100. Happy birthday, Dick Van Dyke. But the icicles, I took hot glue, and on a silicone mat, I did little icicles with the hot glue, and then took and put a little dab of hot glue at the top and stuck them to the windows. But look at this. Isn't this just the cutest? That's a little stocking, little sign. Look at this snow person. Look at the tiny little gingerbread men that came. Whoops, hold on. Okay. But look at all of this. And then inside, I didn't realize that I was supposed to look at the little like Rocher candies that they had us make. And oh my gosh, just the cutest, cutest things. A little teddy bear. But I didn't realize. Now, you would think that having this beautiful hinge here would have given me the hint that this is supposed to open up. But I glued it shut, so I'm going to try later. I only realized this last night. I glued the 2 pieces of floor together, and I glued this wall together. But it's got that opening there, and then over here it has a hinged wall. So I need to try to, whoops, I need to try to make sure that this will open up. But here's my little battery compartment here. It came with everything. I was so tickled. Let me show you. I know what. I'll show you the inside with this close-up camera. And I was really, really pleased. There is a cutie pie Santa, a lit Christmas tree, all these little Christmas things and pieces of furniture, a little kitty. Look at the fireplace here and the rocking chair. It is just so cute. And there are the windows that are decorated. And the door actually moves. I'll show you that. But anyway, there were so many wonderful things to make. Let me see if I can get this door to open. I have it. Oh, it wants to open. Well, I tell you what, when I get it cut open, this almost wants to come open. Yeah, it just got stuck there. Let me see. Try to stick my hand down in there. I know what I've got. Instead of my big old hands, let me get a chopstick and I'll go in. The bottom of the door is a little stuck. There it is. So you see how the door opens? How cute is that? So I just wanted to say if you see one of these and you've ever wanted to try, now it takes a while. It is probably almost 20 hours of work, but that's good because by the time you pay 20 some dollars for these, then you don't want it to be too quick. You want it to take up a good bit of your time. So I am so, so pleased. Heat gun or hair dryer will soften glue. Oh, thank you, Polly. That's wonderful. Yes, so I have a heat gun. I can gently warm up and then stick a flat blade and try to pry it apart because I would love to be able to swing the front out. Now, the instructions mostly show pictures and they don't have a lot of written instructions because they're for all different language people of all different languages. So I just somehow missed that part. But I dearly, dearly love this little thing. And oh, it is so cute. All right. So I'll put this back now where it goes. I'm going to put it back in this corner. But I'm going to get a lot of use out of that. Then I got one of these sponge tree forms, and I ordered some of this green fleecy stuff, and it comes about an inch and a half wide, and I glued it on the form and glued it in a circle. And then I'm definitely going to leave this to the sides because it's a Grinchy tree. And then I also ordered some of these funny they're little puff balls with little tinsel sticking out of them. Here's a yellow one that's pretty easy to see. So this is my effort at a Grinch tree. Now, this particular brand of fleece was a wee bit long. I mean, the pieces were like this long. And I thought, no, it's too long. So I gave it a haircut. Once the glue dried, I gave it a haircut. Well, I started to throw those bits away, but then I said, hey, wait a minute. All I have to do is put them in a clear ball and I've got a new ornament. So Then here is, and I was thinking of putting pieces in it. You know how they do a deconstructed snowman where they put the white snow in the ball and then eyes and nose and little lumps of coal for the mouth and then little sticks for arms. So I may put in some yellow, make take some fake eyes and color them yellow and put them in for him. So that was something I got done this week. And now let me come back to y'all for a minute because I want to show you what I finished doing. Do you remember last week we started a project and I took lots of fabric and I ironed fusible on the back. Steam-a-seam is the best for this. And lately I have been liking, I made a pumpkin on a canvas, and you can get these canvases on sale pretty darn cheap. And I think this is 11 by 14, something like that. And you can get these pretty cheap. And remember, I found this image online and thought, oh my gosh, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. So I was going to do a snowman, which I'm still going to do so I can keep it up all winter. But then I saw this and thought, I have to make this little guy. So now I want to introduce you. I finished him last night. I want to introduce you to Doug. Mark named him. He said he looks like a Doug. So this is my cute little friend, Doug. And I wanted to make sure to show you Doug. He came out even better than I thought. I almost got a little emotional when it started coming together. And so I'm going to give you a few things to show you. This is fabric, a cheap canvas, some fusible, iron-on fusible. Isn't Doug the cutest thing? And I can put this on our website so you can go and see him. I made him a little bit bigger, and I did the 16 block method. I folded, in fact, you can see how I folded this image. And that way I was able to transfer it more accurately to the canvas. And, but he came out so cute. So now I'm going to show you. Oh, thank you. I'm going to show you how I made cute little Doug. Okay. So let me bring the close-up camera in because I'm so tickled with him. I don't know what to do. So let me do close-up camera here. Okay. So, and thank you for y'all saying, hey, Deb, bring up the close-up camera so we don't miss what you're doing. So, thank you, thank you. All right. Now, so I drew him on the canvas. This time I put the background in first, and I like doing different color backgrounds. Here is this, I could tell by the drawing, is like a wall that he's peeking around. And it could be a tree or whatever. So I used this dark blue to be that wall. And I knew that he was going to be in oranges, browns, and stuff. I wanted a nice bright color. I used the snowflakes here for the sky, and then found this beautiful wintertime branches and used that and kind of put it where there was a natural break where I could hide that just a wee bit. Then I went into my drawer. You would love to attend a Doug class. Oh, yes. Well, hi, Miss Joe. Miss Joe, I hope you saw my newest miniature dollhouse. Oh, my God, it's the best one yet. And I think it was somewhere between $25 and $28 on Temu. And, oh, my God, I love it. Anyway, last week, Mary was so brave. She said, I don't like his scarf. It was so dark. And I thanked her for it because it made me think. So what I did is I got some paint and a very thin little paintbrush. And I took red acrylic paint and drew on the lines that were already red. Because if you can see, it had red, blue, yellow, it had those stripes. So I painted over the red lines to bring it out. Then, and the same thing up here. And then I said, oh, good. I would like to do the snowflakes because the original fellow had a few snowflakes on it. So I took a flat, narrow brush in white paint and just did one mark that way, one mark this way, one mark that way, and put the stars on. So I think, Mary, would you say that now that's a better scarf? I think it really, I like the fact that it wasn't too bright. It kind of blended with him a little bit, but you were right. It needed some pizzazz. So I think it's good. Then I looked in the drawer. I have a drawer upstairs of all fun fabrics. And I found this. It's a netting with some lame in it. And then I took, and I showed you last week how I cut 3 circles getting narrower and narrower. And that way it gives it this puffiness. Look, I love having 3D effect. The same thing I did with his nose. Oh, good. Thank you, Mary. And thank you for suggesting it because I probably would have left it like it was. And I think this really is so much better. But then I had some gold thread, or not really thread, it's like a narrow gold, like ribbon stuff. And I took and put glue on it and took 3 strands and twisted them together to make it thicker. And then it's actually tucked into the fabric to look like this ornament is hanging from his ear. And I took a different color lame to put for the top of the ornament, and I glued these down. Some things worked well with glue, some things worked better with fusible. Most things were a little bit of both. Just to show you, in case I forget, I sign all of my artwork just so that somebody one day, if it's sitting in the trash, they'll know who made it. But anyway, but these are the 2 puffy things. And I let those be the show. I thought about doing their antlers, and I said, no, let's just let these 2 go. I did have the folds in this scarf, which I think look really cute. So, okay. So I had the fusible, there's Steam Seam 2, fusible on muslin, which was the big part of his face here. But then in the drawing, it had it in the painting, watercolor probably, it had this dark edge. And then see his head is darker than this part. So I used this fabric. In fact, do you see what this is? I cut out a size this big and then trimmed it off. And this would have been the inside to fit that. But I just wanted it for around the edge. Now, I didn't want it too obviously, oh, this is muslin, that's tan. So what I did is I took some white paint, thinned with a little bit of water, and brushed it on the edge. And it just softens it a bit to look like it's supposed to be that way. Oh, I'm sorry, Mare, but it was so good to see you, Mare. And it'll be on here, sweetheart, for later. But because this, if you have any scraps and would like to make this, this is so much fun. And understand, having it on a canvas, you just hang it up. You don't have to worry about quilting it. You don't have to worry about binding it. You put it on and boom, you're done. So, okay, so now, so I put this edge on, took white paint, thinned white paint, and kind of brushed right on that seam to just soften it down just a touch. And anywhere, if I got, like when I was doing this, I went to wash something, and that is a micron marker, and it washed into, it bled a little bit into here. So then what I did is just took thinned white paint and just covered it until I was ready, until I liked what it was doing. Here, because so this is done with micron right there. And I didn't want to try to do any hand stitching because I didn't know how easy. It would probably be pretty tough to get through this because it's a pretty heavy canvas type. So then the head was done out of yet a different fabric. The head was done, whoops, let me see if I have any of that left over. Okay, there's my interfacing. See, this was the scarf before I jazzed it up with the red and the stars. Mary was right on that one. All right, I don't see. I must have used, or maybe I dropped it in my basket. But this is a light, or it's actually darker than this. But I used that to cut the head out. And then I noticed, though, that they made it. So I did this for that head, tucked it under this part of the face, and then notice that they have a lighter color here. So once again, I got the white paint, thinned it with water, and kind of brushed it on there. And then I cut my eyes out of 2 layers thick of black fabric, and I cut them at the same time so they would be pretty uniform, and just tilted them a little. Then I took white paint and dabbed it onto the eye. So that's just white paint, because that way you get a sharper little pupil on there with the white paint. Now, so then I had already done this scarf last week, and here, oh, here's the fabric I used for his head. So as you can see here, it is darker than what I used for this outside. And so here's the body. And then for the tummy, I used yet another, and I don't even see that. I bet you it's in the bottom of my basket. But then, okay, so now the top of the head was done. The eyes, I used micron pen for the little cute little eyebrows. And the placement of the eyes and the eyebrows is really important, and the mouth. I wanted to give him that very happy look. And it is very important. And it's hard to get exactly what's on your inspiration. Just do your best. And so done these, done this, patted, patted. Now, the nose, if you notice on the inspiration, it has a shine to it, which means it's not as much a furry nose, but as a shiny nose. Now, if you can see here, it's very shaded because he's Rudolph, you know, he's got a big nose. He's got a big proboscis. So what I did is I used a Jenny Beyer fabric that had the print in it. And then I said, okay, I tried naturally to have a lighter area here, and then I came back and used very thin white paint to lighten this, and then put a heavier. It took a couple coats. If you want to get it really white, it takes a few coats of white paint, because paint will absorb into the fabric. So you let it absorb, let it dry, put another coat on, and you do that and kind of build it up. Now, when I did the stars on the thing, I did not thin it. So Oh, thank you, Miss Mary. Thank you. So, um, so that's how I did this. Now, for the antlers, I used a flannel fabric I've had for a while, and I thought it was good that it had a little texture on it, and I cut these out, but it was looking a wee bit dark. I do need to come back in and put a little bit more color in this. In fact, hold on just a second. I know how I can do this. Since it was flannel fabric, it absorbed in pretty good. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to darken some of this. Plus, it'll give it a light brown color, which is good. But let me come back in and add a little bit. Now, I did it with paint upstairs, but what I've got down here is ink tints, and that works beautifully. So here we go. Okay, and then let me see here. Okay, I want to get a container for water. Oops, well, I might have to use it straight. So anyway, okay. So I'm putting back in some of the highlights here. And don't be afraid of using ink tints. It's a lot of fun. And the more water, the more textile medium you put. And if you put too much, you can dab it right out. Use a clean tissue, or paper towels actually better. So you can dab it right out. So now, so here we go with that. Let me come over here and do this one. Good. Wanted to make sure I'm still in screen range. And here we go. All right. Let's see. Okay, this just gives a little bit more pop to the antlers. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, here's my textile medium. Let me grab one of my brushes. Now, normally I thin the textile medium maybe half and half. But let me, okay, so half with water and half. But when you put the textile medium on, do you see it really blooms? Let me get in just a wee bit closer. I wanted to have, I wanted to have a little bowl or something, and I'm not seeing. Ah, yay, I found something. All right, so I'm going to put my textile medium in this lid, and that way you can watch as I brush it on and bring up. And now it has, you can see it has more more shape to it. In fact, I should have done just one at a time to show you the difference. But the way I put on the white, it shows me that the flannel absorbs the paint, really holds onto it. And so that's why it got too white. So, okay. So there we go. That already, I can tell, is much better. And let me see what color this pencil this is. This one is bark. Ah, this should be. Oh, look at this. And this shows right away because the fabric is already wet. So this is pretty cool. You can see exactly what you're putting on by having the fabric already wet. All right, let's see. Put this here. Put a little more here. A little more here. All right, so I'm hoping this helps you see how easy, whether you're using paint or whether you're using ink tints, you can add a lot of dimensionality with the way you run your colors and the medium that you use. Because to me, my works always come to life once I add the paints or the dyes. Every step, I was telling Mark, this, when I was first started last night working on this, I was a little concerned that it wasn't going to give me what I wanted, that it just, you know how I tell you that your art will go through a stage where it's like, oh no, that's not the way I really wanted it to look. And I always say, hang in there, keep going. Don't call it a waste and give up. Keep going. And it's so true because now this is one of my favorite little works of art. So I think, what do y'all think? I think that really makes him pop. And I do this with everything. The most wonderful thing nowadays is that quilting is um, multimedia and medium. You can use just about anything. Take care, Mary or Mare. But anyway, I just thought I would show you this. Now, you know, while I'm doing this, this is a good time to put in a little shadowing under this ornament because it really will give it a little more realism. And that's even fun, even if it's a cartoon design, because it just brings it to life and you enjoy it that much more. So I'm going to come in here. Ah, look at that. Okay. And you have to figure out, where is your light coming from? I think my light is coming from this way. So that's why the shadow for this is going to be the bottom and the left-hand side. So it just gives it a little bit of a punch there. All right, so now the last thing I want to talk to you about are how I did the ears. The ears were the most complicated part of this, okay? So let's talk about the ears. And good, okay. The ears had the most color variation. And I didn't want to put a light fabric on and then do all of this color by just drawing or painting it in. I wanted, the first thing I like to do is do the best job I can with the fabric choices. See, I could have just painted this around his face. I could have just painted this, but I want it to be mostly fabric and highlighted with paints and dyes. Okay, if you understand what that, what that means. And so what I did here is I took this and, oh, in fact, you know what? I thought I was going to use this, but I don't think I did because I thought that the print on it would be just too recognizable. But what I did is took this and it had some dark areas. This is another Jenny Beyer. Gosh, I'm going to be just bereft when I run out of her fabric. But I took this fabric for these little antler stems. I cut them out of the darkest part of this fabric because they had some really nice dark areas. Then for these, I just cut the shapes out. It has fusible on the back. Then I cut out, yes, this edge was what I did for his face and his body. Then I took the light muslin and cut just the different shapes where that color was going to be. And then this in the middle was the lighter of the tan colors. So what I did is I looked at what shapes made up this ear, and I used those fabrics just where I needed them. And then I layered them until I liked the way that each of them looked. I layered them in. In fact, let me do something. Where is that bark? Yeah. I'm going to come in here. I noticed that this fabric didn't quite go as far along as I wanted it. So I'm going to come in with this and see if that will help. And then bring back my textile medium. Oh yeah, that works real good. All right, so that gives just a little extra shading. So yeah, instead of going back and redoing that fabric, then I could just bring in the dyes and we're set. And in fact, a little bit right here, got a little light too fast. So you see how fast that now changed. Then, so I put the little pieces together, cut them, worked with them. In fact, you know what? I need a little bit right here too, because I noticed this fabric stopped just short of where I would have liked it to. So now I just put a little bit, and I'll get a little bit of medium and put it here. Okay, there. Perfect. Perfect. So you see how easy that is to get just what you want? It's wonderfully easy. So I do like this very much. And I'm going to put a touch of yellow on his antlers just to give a little bit more of that wonderful glow look that he has on his body, because the fabric I chose for the antlers was a little bit of a flat brown. So I'm just going to come in here, give a little touch more glow to him. There we go. And that also acts, since it's yellow, it acts as a highlight. So that's good. All right. Whoops. And I was out of range again. Sorry. But I hope, then I took the micron pens. And just drew the little hairs. Just drew the little hairs on. And then I love the little hairs on the top of his head. So I definitely wanted to emphasize, I thought that was so cute. But just did a little bit of the hairs around his body. The micron pen just gave me here some of the shadowing I need to define his arm from his body. And just nice little touches. And Micron did this, and I have them in all different widths, so I could use the one I wanted. And there's how I did that. And then everything, I went around and made sure, now I'm going to trim this a little, but I went around and made sure that everything was glued or fused around the edge. And then what I'm going to do, I don't know if I have my good scissors down here, but what I'm going to do is then come back with this and just give it a nice little trim to neaten up that edge. And you can also use a razor knife. Like some of this might get tricky. I can use a razor knife, but I'll trim up the edge and then it's ready. Now, if you have a spray acrylic sealer, you could put that on there, but I have a feeling he's going to be fine as he is. And when I put away the Christmas decorations into the attic, I will not put him in the attic. I don't want any kind of moth to eat him. He'll have to go in my seasonal drawer that I have where I keep the quilt parts, because I try not to put quilts up in the attic. So I want that stuff at a more controlled temperature and humidity. But here he is. His name is Doug. Mark named him. And we're very excited. Michelle the Quilter. Hello, everybody. So anyway, if anybody wants, oh, did Joe have to go? Oh, take care, Miss Joe. So I will put my inspiration on our website, and I'll put a picture of him on our website too, so you can see kind of what I did with him. And I hope you like him. All right. And he's a real sweet guy. So, real sweet guy. In fact, you know what's funny? These look dimensional, even though they're not. They're flat. They're absolutely flat. His nose is dimensional. And the ornament is. But because of the way I took the ink tints in, it now looks, his antlers look dimensional, but they're not. So, okay. Well, he was the one I was most excited about. I'll sit him over here to watch the rest of the show with us. And while I know Mark is outside, I want to show you, and while we're right here, I have a little idea I want to make for Mark. Just a silly little present. Let me get this label off. Okay. Now, I've got the iron heating up. And here is the shirt. Make sure it doesn't have any threads on it. This is something, this technology they're using for this is really, really good. I got it off Temu also, because I'm sure you can find them somewhere, but I don't know where you'd find them. I love getting the iron-on images. I'm trying to find how this pulls off. I think I'm just going to have to cut it. I don't have all day to figure this out. All right, let me just cut this loose. But here is one of these iron-on. And I got this for maybe $2. And then I got the shirt from Walmart. And now I am going to take this off. Make sure it's a size, But I got this shirt from Walmart for like $7. And then this was like $2. Now, make sure that you line it up. Feel free to use a ruler and measure from side to side. Okay. And you don't even have to have a cover cloth. You can just, as long as your iron's not too hot, you can just iron right on this film. And you've got to slowly do it. Don't scrub it too much, because you want it to stay in place. And what you're going to do is you're going to start to peel it and see if it's sticking down. If it's not transferred onto the fabric good enough, keep your iron going over it. Keep your iron going over it. All right, now I'm going to put the iron away and just let it cool. Let it cool some. Okay, now I'm going to carefully start peeling it back, staying low, peeling it back at a low angle to make sure it is well ironed down. Take your time with this. It will make all of the difference. Carefully peeling it back. Now, I'm going to turn my iron down in temperature by 1 degree, by 1 notch. But see how now it's doing really well. So you've got to iron it the length of time you saw me doing it at a nice, good temperature. And you peel it back very close and at a low angle. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm not finished though. Let me tell you why. Now I'm going to get a piece of scrap muslin. A piece of scrap muslin to act as a cover cloth. I turn the iron down. See how that covers it completely? I turn the iron down a notch. And here I go, making sure that it's totally ironed down. Now, so far as these are really good little iron-on transfers, heat transfers, I think they call them. And normally I would never use the iron directly on it. If you have to iron these shirts for anything, put a cover cloth on them, because this is some kind of paint product. Now, if you're going to wash it, just turn it inside out, and they wash really well. So there's no worry. So here is, here is one of his Christmas presents. So, okay. What? Oh, this came from Temu. And you can get them pretty cheap. If we can get rid of the tariffs, they'll be even cheaper again. But isn't that the cutest? I thought that was, I don't know where where my little mouse disappeared. Come on. All right, here we go. I had to hit it that good old way. All right. So I got these off Temu. Is a great place to get art supplies and craft supplies. You can find everything there. But here is his shirt, and it will hold up beautifully, and I hope he'll get a kick out of it. So there it is. Okay, so I just thought I'd show you. I love showing you easy, inexpensive ways to make things, to give gifts, and you're talented people. So that, I think, is a good thing. Use your talent and save the money. And okay, so now I've shown you the Grinch tree. Oh, I forgot to tell you that I'm going to take and make a copy of the antler that the dog wears. You know, that weird little shaped antler? I'm going to make that for the top of the tree here. All right. And let me see. Oh, okay. So the next thing, and then we'll do show and tell. And I've got some new pictures, a couple new pictures for you in show and tell. All right. So now the next step for this is using ink tints to bring this. Let me see. Also, I want to send a shout out to our Hopi because she had to go to a specialist and I think she's doing great. But okay, let's see here. All right. Okay. Let me get something to drink. One of the things is I wanted the sun to look a little bit more like it's a little cloud passing over. So I'm going to use a neutral gray and I'm just going to put a couple little lines of the cloud passing in front of the sun. So there's that. And in fact, one thing I'm going to do right now, do you see this? It has some of the dark colors in it that I used on the reindeer. So I'm cleaning that out and I'm going to get some more of this. And since I want to thin it, I've got a little spray bottle I keep. Okay, so I'll put some water beside it. Oh, another thing, to set these colors, even with that cute little reindeer, whoops, let me get something to wipe this off. Even for the cute little reindeer, to set the colors, you're going to want to iron it. And what I need to do here is clean any of the dark off this paintbrush. In fact, I'm just going to get an unused paintbrush so I don't have to worry about anything bleeding through. And just kind of come in here and give a little brush. So now I think it adds a little touch of realism to that sun. And I'm going to lightly put a little here, here, and here. That neutral gray. Now, here I just put a little too much. Let me bring the camera down a little closer. Put a little too much right there. What I do then is come in here with a clean paper towel and I just rub and take the excess off like that. Okay. Just got to notice that we got one of our Walmart packages in. Yay. All right. Now, let me see. I would like now to use a little white. I'm looking for one of my pencil sharpeners. Does this have one in the case? Let me find a little pencil sharpener. Let me see. Does this have any white in it? No, don't think it does. Let me find a pencil sharpener. Oh, wait a minute. Here's another white. Here's another white. Let me tell you, when you get ink tints, you can see I use a lot of white. So you may want, okay. Hold on 1 second, please, people. 1 second, let me just see about this delivery. That's odd. Unless Mark was there to pick it up, he didn't actually leave it. Okay, here we go. All right. So you can also dip your pencil in, get it a little bit wet, and run. Okay, now what else did I want to do? Oh, I think I had done a little bit before, few lines of that. And I want to, where it was a little bit dark, I'm just going to add, let me add a different yellow here. I'm going to cover up a little bit of that dark. See how it looks. I'm thinking it's going to dry lighter. All right, so now we're looking at all of these leaves, all of this, the leaves and things. And so what I want to do is come in with a light brown first, because I don't want to go too dark. I'm going to come in and kind of put a little shading on the lighter parts here. Little bit, just to show a little depth. I want to give it more depth. So come in like this. Then after I'm done with this, then it'll be ready to quilt and frame with the border. But anywhere, Mark, did you get a package?
Yeah.
Good.
Walmart.
Okay.
Maybe.
I didn't see it outside. I wanted to make sure. All right. We've never had a package stolen, but, you know, I get worried. Okay. So now, let's see. So I'm coming in under the lighter parts and adding a little shading on the bottom. Now I've done pretty much all the light parts that I can think of. So now I'm going to come in with a darker brown. And I'm going to, let me see. I'm going to come in with a little darker brown. Don't do too much. You'll think you've got, it's not enough and you need to do it more. But trust me, it will be pretty darn good. And so just on the bottom, these branches with the leaves coming out would have some shadow underneath because the sun's here. So it's coming this way. And anywhere, let me see, anywhere like in here, this is a great way to add a little depth. The leaves that are coming through, that you're seeing through the tree to see, or over here behind it, add a little depth with the ink tints. Give them a little more shadow, and so that it's not so flat. Because if you just add fabric and it's not different in color, then it's going to fall flat. So, like here is back through the tree, and whoops, this is actually on the front of the tree. Okay. But anywhere you're looking back through the tree, add color to make it recede. And then these you want to kind of come towards you. But I'm going to go through like this and cover all of these. And then okay. Then we'll put the finish on and see if you can see the difference. Okay. But you want to have depth. Now, I do that when I add the fabric. I already have done that by choosing some darker shades of fabric. But I find it also helps. Okay. It also helps for you to really be able to see it. Okay. So now, just going to come along and bloom the color. I'm not going to put it here because that is on the front of the tree. So even though I did some strokes there, I'm going to try to erase them off because I don't want that too dark. Okay. Now I'm going to skip back up here. Before I do too many dark shades, I want to do the lighter colors so I don't have to wash my brush out as much. If you think it's too dark, if you pressed a little too hard, just wipe it off. No problem. Now, understand too that until this dries, you're not exactly sure how it's going to look. But once it dries, you'll have a better idea. And even with it dry, until you iron it, if you want to lighten it, just use a rag, just wet it, wipe it off with a rag. Then if that's not enough, then use your white pencil to lighten it some. And anywhere you think it's too dark, you can just wipe it, get some of that excess off. Okay. And this is if you want it to have a more realistic look. If you just want it colorful and a little cartoonish, that's fine too. Just you won't use quite as much. Think I had missed some of these areas. Okay. And if you're doing a light area, you might need some new water and fabric. This is acrylic fabric medium. It allows the color to be absorbed into the very fabric. And so that's why the textile mediums work so well. So now I'm going to wipe this out. And just like we did the shadowing, we're going to come in and we're going to do a little highlighting. Okay. So I'll put new medium in because this is all going to be very light colors. And I'm going to come in here and do some highlighting with a white pencil. And then I'm going to use a yellow, nice, bright, sunny yellow. And I'm only drawing it on the top of the parts, the top of the branches where the leaves come out. Okay. But since the sunlight does tend to brighten things with a whitish, yellowish look, This is good to use on any of these leaf branches where they come out. And just think of them as planes, flat planes that you want to highlight. So now I'm coming in with this bright yellow, and I'm going to come here. Even though I've got all the different colors, this will brighten it up. Okay. All right. Just lighten all the top edges, the parts that you think the sun will hit. All right. You see what I'm just hitting the top parts of the individual colors. Something that sticks out like that. I want to put any of these that kind of stick out by themselves. I want a lot of that sunny look. In fact, it wouldn't hurt to do a little bit here too. Okay. So when you do shadows, don't forget the highlights. All right, now let me make sure that I don't have any dark color on this brush. Okay, now I'm going to come in. Let me put just a little water in here. The reason you can put the medium on full strength, the only problem is it'll kind of build up a plastic layer on the fabric if you put it too thick. So that's why I like to add about 50% water. That's at least what I was taught. So now I'm going to come here and just put the water textile medium on the top part that I just drew. I'm going to purposely try to stay away from the bottom areas that I did a few minutes ago because I don't want to muddy my brush or the work. So this is going to be more subtle, but just trust yourself that it's there. Then when you let it dry, if it doesn't show enough, come back in and touch it up again. And that's pretty easy to do because once the fabric is wet, it's very easy to see where you have added the highlights. So highlights are never as bold as the shadows. So just remember to only be as bold with your shadows as you are being for the highlights. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you weight the piece down. You make it way too heavy with just shadows. All right. So I wish I had a before and after. I'm going to hold it up and let you see. Oh, but let's move on over while I'm doing this, because the next time you see this, I may have it quilted and it would be kind of finished. But I'm going to come in here with the white and I'm going to add a little bit of the white to some of this to give it a little highlight. Okay. All right. And let me make sure that this is clean. Oh, Okay, let me get some water on this and clean it a little better. Okay. And then you can come in where you have done some of the white highlighting. And that, the white shows the least. And you really can't, if you put a very dark mark, you really can't undo that with the white pencil. They're just not strong enough. So you might have to do several different. Oh, I was out of range again. But you might have to do it several times. But whites in the pencil, in the ink tints, are not that bold. That's why I go through them so much. But I'm hoping you are able to see some differences. Oh, I know something. I can see something right now I'd like to work on. And that is, let me find a gray. These look like little storm clouds possibly coming in. So I'm going to kind of put some little marks here. Then I just realized doing this that the sun may shine up just a little into those. You know how sometimes when the sun is setting, it'll highlight the bottom of some thicker clouds in the distance. So I'm just going to put this here. And now let's let this bloom. These are the little things that really add up over time on a quilt. Now, it looks like the gray might be overtaking my yellow just a wee bit. But what I can do is come back, now that I have the gray on, come back with that yellow. Where is that sweet yellow? Yes, this is sun yellow. I can come back and just add more now. And I think that'll give it a good look because the sun is kind of peeking up into this. Okay. All right. And you know what? I do like the little strokes of yellow down here. All right. Then now we're coming, let me see what I've got for blues. I have sea blue. I have, let me see, violet. I have, oh, deep indigo. And bright blue. Okay. So I have these. Now, there were areas of this that have a little periwinkle violet in them. So what I'm going to do is where I've drawn some of these lines, I'm going to come back in and give little outlines. There are different color threads that I've kind of given some definition here. So I'm going to add that. And then especially add it right above this sewing to show that depth. A little bit over here. I'm going to do the same thing here. Outline some of the lines. And then especially over here where it's in shadow, I'm going to come in and add that violet in the shadows. I think that would be good. Because this is part of this mountain and I want it to show up. Then I will come in with a little bit of yellow here because that's a little bit of highlight from the sun. All right, so now this one. I need to stay light, like bright blue. Let's see how this one does. I want to give some shadow in here to the bottom of the range. Okay, little shadow. And now just emphasize the sewing lines I drew that give the mountains a little depth. Okay, and that's good for that. I can probably use a little bit on this level. Now I have to remember this is sky, so this is probably the last bit. Just put a little bit here on the last mountain range. The further mountains are away from you, the more that they are grayed and indistinct. The closer the mountains get to you, the more definition you'll see. So I'm not going to do very much definition. No, not much defining here in this band. Then this is part of transitions to sky and clouds. But I'm not going to put much definition because this is really getting hazy in the background. And that gives you that depth that we want to see. So now I'll come down to this little group of mountains here. And here I'll go ahead and put a little definition. See that? Because this is closer to you. Okay, so now done this. Let me make sure I've got enough definition here, enough there. All right, now I need a teal type color, and that probably would be sea blue. So this is more of a teal. I love in this picture the waves of color being slightly different. So this is kind of a teal. I'm going to consider this a light teal. I'm going to come in and do some of the crevices and just kind of follow some of the thread lines that I sewed into this. All right, now I'm going to go back to violet because this has another violet feel. So I'm going to come with a violet and I'm going to add shadows here. And this, a little bit of definition here. Put some shadows and definition here. Okay. Got that's pretty well done. Put a little definition here with the, I'm just trying to think where would the violet look good? And since this is kind of under the trees, under the branches, I'm going to darken this. I'm going to darken these skies a little bit too, because the trees are shading those bits of sky. So I want them to recede. I don't want them to come at me. I want them to go back into the background. Okay, so I think this will do a pretty good job with that. You want to see sky, but it has to be less pronounced. Okay. All right. And just kind of go in and reinforce what I've already done with stitching. All right, now I'm going to go back to, oh, you know what? A deep indigo would be really good in the shadows. Really good. Okay, this is good. I'm going to put a little bit here, a little bit here. Oh, definitely put some in here. Because this way you get that, it's like what your eyes see out in nature. Okay? All right. Now, and then down here, put a little more. Get some of these darker things, more muted, less definition makes things recede. Brighter and more definition makes them come towards you. All right. And so now it's just this. I think I'm going to stick with the deep indigo because this would be bolder because it's right here in front of you. It's right in your face. So I'm going to use, on all of these, I'm going to use the deep indigo. Just being careful not putting it indiscriminately. So, okay. Going over the sewing lines that I've already added to give it depth and character. Okay. And also by putting this shadow down above these trees, it makes the trees stand out good. So it's like they're darker where they go back where it's behind the trees. All right, so now let me get my paintbrush and I want to check it, make sure it's clean, and put some more water and medium. And the best thread painter that I've talked to says use a light, medium, and dark to do thread painting, and that way you're covered. Oops, I don't want to start in the dark colors. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to have to just clean my brush out off, and that's what I'm going to have to do. Let me clean off that. And I'm just doing a light little coating for any of the yellows that I put. Oops. Be careful too. It looks like right here, a little piece of ink tense dye, like, you know, where you sharpen the pencils. It looks like that fell right there. So I can take something a little bit sharp and scrape a little bit. I can try covering it a little bit. Okay, so I'm working from the light down to the dark. And you see the yellow really blooming up here. And that's nice. Gives everything that sun glow. And then I'm just going to move my way down. And you should start seeing. And don't do too much scrubbing or you'll take away your definition, the lines and stuff that you did. And go in here to all the bits of sky. And you want to make it bloom, but don't scrub it away. Okay. And since I have so much dark on my brush, I'm going to clean it up a little. And let me put some more medium. So you see that I don't make a big thing of medium. Or if you do want to mix up the medium and water, then put it in a little container to actually use it. Because it will get a little muddy. And so it's better if you're going to mix it in a jar so it's ready, fine, but then use a little plastic lid to I started to scrub down here, and I don't want to scrub because I want to leave some definition. So you're just kind of carefully wiping it across so you don't lose definition. And now, okay, so I've covered this area. I think I've covered this too. Yeah. All right. So now this is a wonderful time to come in. Let me see, what do I want? Okay, now is a good time to come in, and especially if some of the definition kind of washed out, you can come back and add a little because the fabric is still wet and it will bloom as soon as you touch it, as soon as you touch the pencil to it. But now's the time, feel free to come in and add a little bit more definition to some of these, like that. All right. Now, come back in just a touch. In areas, if you're not seeing enough a color, try to come back and make sure you actually touch the areas where you added. Yeah, see, like right here, I hadn't put enough there. But now, if you notice, you're seeing a lot more definition in the mountains. Now, okay, this is another good time, though, to come in with your bright yellow and some of the tops of these ridges. Put a little yellow on them. Put a little yellow so that you can see that, yes, the sun is hitting, because each of these colors there is a top and a ridge to it. And so just do a little touch of that sun coming in. Okay, see what I'm doing? And that way you're giving it the highlight that you like to use to bring everything to life. Oops. I started to do on the bottom, but do it on the tops only, or else it'll all just look the same. Just the top of that little particular ridge. And the shadows go on the bottom of the ridges. Okay, here's one to do here. Okay. And then you can also come in with your white and do a little highlighting right over the wet with the white, just on the top of the ridges, not on the bottom. And then this just really gives it dimension. It makes it really makes it pop. So now, let me see. Is there anything? Yes. I don't know if I want to use green or use charcoal gray. All right, I'm going to see if I can, let me see what this will do. I want to do a little defining here of these different plant groupings, these different trees that are in the distance. All right. Now, so I'm going to do that. Just defining. All right. And so this is a brighter green, but this will be good for defining. Then I'm going to come in with this gray and give it a little bit of an edge, then color at the bottom to give it shadow, but just to highlight the edge, not, just, you need a dark line to define the edges of each of these trees. Then give it shadowing at the bottom, like down in here, but give it a line to set these apart. And each stage I did as much as I could with the fabrics I had, then I did as much as I could with the threads that I had, and now this is just one more component that will give it definition. So here I just do the edge of these trees. Then I give it some shadowing at the bottom. Give it some shadowing at the bottom, but a little bit at the top to give it definition. Shadowing here, little definition. Okay. I want these to stand out. I don't want everything to just turn to mud. Okay. Then now I'll come in with a very light green and do some highlighting too. And you might think, well, gosh, you're doing them both at the same time. Yeah, but the lighter color goes on last because that's going to be what you want to. It's the hardest one. The light color is the hardest one to get to show. So it has to go on last. And you could do them. I'm trying to do this all at once to show you. But you could easily, I'm putting a little of the light green on top of the trees as if it's a little sunlight getting through. Okay. All right. Now, let's get this to bloom and put some more medium. The nicest thing is when I get new medium, I can start clean. Okay. All right. So mix this up and come in, just lightly brush it on. And since this has light and dark every once in a while, clean off my brush, especially if I'm going to go into a light area. And just lightly brush it across and let the ink that you put on there do its work. Okay, and I'm going to brush off the top of these trees. Make sure that they're nice and bright. All right, then the last little bit is to come down here and work on the tree and these little grass lines. So charcoal gray, come in and get a little definition there. Just a little shadowing that lets you know the top from the bottom. A little shadowing here. Gray is just really good for shadowing. You could use some brown, but gray is such a good neutral. To me, it's like the best for shadowing, emphasizing the shadows. Now I'll come in here with bright yellow and give some little touch of sun to the tops of these. That is the best way to brighten these up. Come back in here and do a little more shadowing. Okay. The bottom branches of these trees. Just making sure that I give little definition to these. Otherwise, they just look cartoon-like. So, you got to give them some definition. Now, let me see. Definite yellow up here. I'm going to get, let me see. I'm just going to put some marks here to give it a little texture. All right, down here, I think I'll come in with some green and give this a little Now, and that's about the darkest green I have. Here's a good dull green that would do well with this back here because this is farther away. It's in the background. You want to keep it up back there. There we go. So just dull that down a little. This is the brighter parts because that's in the shade and farther away. Now I am going to come in here with bark and do some more shadowing of these trees. And this is a good chance to put in some, like maybe knot holes. And you just decide what part is actually touching the sun and what part is getting the shade, the shadow. And here, the top is in the shadow too. Okay. Shadow, 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 shadow. And then a little shadow up here. A little darker here. All right. And then little shadow under these leafy branches. Okay. All right. Then I will come in with some lighter brown for the highlight. All right. And then I want a little bit of yellow, because that'll give a little touch of sun here. And I'm going to come in here with a little bit of white and give it that highlight. Not too much because it's hard to read. Here, think of where it's easiest for the sunlight to reach. All right, now I'll come in with the final. I'm going to do the highlights first because they're going to be lighter. So I'll come up. That way I won't have to clean my brush. And the water and the textile medium as much. Okay, so now I can come in and do the shadow lines because that's all darker. Okay. All right. I think that's looking pretty good. All right. So now I think I've covered, whoops. Let me see. Oh, I didn't quite cover this. I'm just going to, for some of this, it's not as important. So I'm just going to use water. Where it's further away or you want it to kind of mesh or blend a little, you can do that. Want to make sure I've developed all this color so I can see what I've got. All right, now while we do show and tell, I'm going to let this darken. Is it? Boy, did that take a long time. I apologize. But let me let this dry a little bit so that we can see it before you go. And in fact, that's one of the reasons that I often don't do this kind of thing, because I could go on forever. Now let me plug in this fan to get this drying a little so that you can get a better idea of what it looks like. And while we're quickly doing, okay. And I just want to tell you too that we're going to start a snowman either next week or sometime around the week after Christmas, something like that. So now I've got this fan here blowing. I'll let it try to dry that out, and then we'll see. All right, now we'll come back to, let me close this down. And I do apologize for talking this long. Hold on. Let me see. All right. Show and tell. Now let's go over to desktop. And let's see what we have. Bonnie's got a new project she's working on. And here, let me bring it over. Here is Bonnie's new project that she's working on. She's going to do it all in black and white. She loves doing Jacobean type time period because of her reenactment, and she's really good at honing in on the time period. So that's excellent. And then there was something else she saw. Here's her latest quilt she finished, a shadow quilt. And I saw a shadow quilt on the last homely house east of the sea. What a great job. So I love this. Now I'm seeing shadow quilts everywhere. But look at what else she found. For those of you who love the slow stitching movement, look at this. Now this they took either felt or wool and did decorative stitching and made the rings. And let me tell you, if I were to do this, I'm going to keep it up all year long. So just remember, it might end up being even more important than you thought. So, but I love that. Thank you, Bonnie, for that idea. Now I'm going to go back to the show and tell. And let's see. There was something I put in the bottom here, but I don't. Oh, this, Holly put this on the site. Oh, I'm not sure if I can enlarge it enough. But look at this sewing machine. I thought this was worth showing all of you. This sewing machine was brought in because it seized up. And they said, well, it probably needs clean. Oh, no, it doesn't need clean. Well, guess what? And look at this film. I have never seen so much. Now, my quilting machine got thread wrapped around a few things, but everywhere I could reach was clean. But you never know what's back in the back. So it's a good idea to have the workhorse machine serviced every year or two, because things happen. Although this, since this has got this bobbin in the front here, they had to see it when they loaded bobbins. So I'm not sure about that. Shame. Okay, then real quickly, we're going to run to Miss Debbie. She has been doing her decorating, and she's so talented with her decorating. Look at this wonderful quilt. And then I love when she sends us pictures. Look at her stairwell. Isn't that lovely decorated for Christmas? I just think this is the coolest idea ever. That is really so awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Well, now Oh, look at this. That's a beautiful tablescape. It reminds me of Pat Fry, who does the same thing. And y'all are so talented and take that extra time to set up beautiful vignettes. That's beautiful. All right, and then look at this shelf. Oh, how cute. And I love this Santa on the floor down there. Look at this. That is just beautiful, hon. Ah, cotton bowls. A little nod to our favorite quilting. And look at the mantle with the Santa and the, oh, just beautiful. Our Debbie has good talents and an eye for decorating, doesn't she? Beautiful. Oh, thank you, Miss Debbie. And send us your photos anytime. Anybody that wants to send them. Our time to quilt at gmail.com. All right, Miss Dolores. Now, she was a little concerned. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I did deliver the quilt for my favorite doctor who's retiring. So I'm hoping that she will enjoy it. And I put a label on it too. I was so proud of myself. So label the quilts when you give them away, even ones you keep. This is Miss Dolores said she wasn't sure if she had seen these on site. I might have actually missed showing them. And I don't ever want to miss showing your work because it's too wonderful. So I just made sure to go through, put these back on because they're just spectacular. So look at the chair cover she made. And this with the applique. And I love this French stripe. That is just beautiful. French braid. Isn't that gorgeous? So good job, Miss Dolores. Now look at this fox. Isn't that amazing? It is so, so pretty. So I wanted to make sure that we made sure this is her grandson. And look at his first collage applique quilt. Isn't that amazing? I love it. Way to go. And there's a close-up of that horse. Wonderful, wonderful portrait quilting. These are her little 3-inch little works of art that she sells at art fairs. And I think they are wonderful. Now, I thought there were more. You know what? There again, it didn't fully download. So next week, I'll add a couple new ones that she sent too, because I love her work so much. Okay, I'm thinking that Miss Mary, I just love that she finished her English paper piecing quilt from last year. So that is wonderful. And then look at this wonderful ribbon quilt. Isn't that fascinating? Beautiful, beautiful job, Miss Mary. You're something else. Okay, and back to show and tell. I think we have it all. All right, so thank you so much for paying attention to this. And now I will show you. It's not dry yet, but at least I think you'll get a good idea of what we already had done best we could with our fabric to lay out this quilt, to lay out this landscape. Then we came in with thread, stitched everything down with monofilament, then used different thread colors to accentuate, to bring definition, some highlights, some shadowing with thread. And then today I did the ink tints work with you. And I'm hoping that you get a chance to see how all 3 stages work together to give you the most beautiful landscape quilt. Hopefully you can see this and see the definition. Every stage, we did the first with fabric as color blocking. Then you do the thread painting, And then at last you do ink tints or acrylic paints with an acrylic fabric medium. But now do you see how we've really brought it to life? So I'm hoping that that gives you an idea. Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, yes. Mary's quilts are fantastic. So now I'm going to switch back in just a moment. Let me get this light out of my face. I like to light things up, but sometimes, all right. So here is the quilt, and I will now, it just needs to be quilted and framed with a dark outer frame. Um, this inner border will be trimmed down to be the framing mat, and then I'll pick something very nice, probably a very dark brown. Well, I'm sorry I kept you so long today, but I'm hoping I've given, pardon me, I hope you can see how much more defined everything is now. This looks more like a sloping meadow. The trees are more individualized. The mountain ranges have more definition. They really look like mountains now. And the sky is pretty set up to be the sky. I think now you know that these are some dark clouds moving in, but the tree now looks more like a tree and less like a caricature. And I might still come in and do few more little definitions to give it that leafy look. But especially look at the trunk of this tree. That looks like a tree now, very much. So it just shows you with a little bit of fabric, with a little bit of incentive with thread and ink tints or paints, you can make something really fun. And I had the canvas, I had the fabrics. This was free. This just took a little time and creativity. So that's what we're about, is what do you have in your toolbox that you can fill your life with joy and creativity? And it makes life so much better, especially when the real world might be a little tough to deal with right now. So I tell you what, though, whether it's a miniature house or a landscape quilt, you're creating something that didn't exist before, and it's a joy. And it's yours to give or to just put in your own home and enjoy. I hope you have a very good week. Thanks for hanging in here with me. And I will see you next Sunday when we're getting really close to the nitty gritty Santa time. So have a great week. Do take a moment to do something just for you. We get so stressed and busy this time of year. Maybe it's the Merry Mayhem New Year's Day quilt that we'll quilt together. I'll make sure we have a jitsi on New Year's Day. So just take some time, do something just for you. I saw something earlier about hot cocoa. Oh boy, hot chocolate this time of year is a wonderful way to treat yourself to a little calm and relaxation. Take good care of yourself. Keep watching Samantha on Jessima Tutorials. There are amazing shows on YouTube. So take good care. Have a great week ahead. And I hope Miss Hopi's home, relaxing, feeling better. Everybody take good care of yourself. Bye bye, everyone. You are the best.